Greetings and salutations. I'm the Anunnaki theorist, and today I would like to welcome you to my first official video into the Anunnaki theory. Now, you can kind of look at this almost like a prologue. I'm going to do a basic explanation of what the Anunnaki theory is, and then I'm going to go into some of my sources. For those of you that were hoping that I would actually get into the Anunnaki theory, patience, grasshopper. You must first build the foundation before you build the house. So, with that said, I'm going to give you a little bit of basic explanation of what my definition of the Anunnaki theory is. When we look at physics, we see that when you have a field, usually you have a basic equation to help solve a question within that field. Say, for example, hey, we're working with light speed. Well, if we're wanting to work with light speed, we use the ever-famous E equals mc squared. That's the equation. So, the Anunnaki theory is an equation that we use to explain certain things in our religions and our belief systems. That's what the Anunnaki theory is. Now, I need to explain where my sources come from whenever I do any form of study into the Anunnaki theory. And of course, the first source is the big man himself, Mr. Zacharias Sitchin. Now, I know a lot of people have a problem with Mr. Sitchin. They say he's not educated enough. He doesn't have the linguistic skills. He doesn't have the translation and interpretation skills. They say that he falsified a lot of what he translated and interpreted. That may be. The thing is, though, is he never wanted to be a linguist or a scholar or a historian. He said in an interview, and it's very rare for him to actually do interviews. Well, I should say, did interviews. And in this interview, he said that, what he wants to be considered as is just a reporter. He took these tablets and he translated them and he interpreted them in the ways that he's seen. And he reported it to the world. That's all he wanted to do. 30 years of research and study before he put pen to paper on his first book, The 12th Planet. But this is the starting point. Mr. Sitchin had created a beautiful series of books called The Earth Chronicles, and they are not fiction. Okay, Mr. Sitchin is not L. Ron Hubbard. He wasn't a science fiction writer that decided to create a religion. That's not what he was doing. He was interpreting and translating and transliterating cuneiform, which, if you look into actual cuneiform, you have anywhere from 600 to 1,000 characters in their alphabet. So, I mean, you look at our alphabet, the English language alphabet. We have 26 characters, and look how many words can be made with those 26 characters. Imagine how many words can be made with 600 to 1,000 characters. So when it comes to translation and interpretation, you're going to have some flaws. You're going to have some mistranslations. You're going to have some misunderstandings and misinterpretations. But for the most part, I think he hit the nail right on the head. Now, my next source is someone who has been given permission by the Sitchin estate to use the translations from the 14 tablets of Lord Enki. Now, did this actually happen? We don't really know. But if we come down here and you look, this is the first tablet. And I will put this link down in the description of the video so that you too can come to this particular site and read these 14 tablets. The way that I see it, this is a Cliff's Notes version of the entire saga or epic of the Anunnaki. Who they were, what they did, why they came here, what they did to us, the various influences they gave us, all the firsts that we have. This gives a paraphrased version of the entire epic. This, by the way, is Brahma Kumari Peri. Brahma Kumari it's a religious order, and of course she goes ahead and uses the 14 tablets to help promote her order, to give enlightenment in various fields, and she says that the Anunnaki kind of present that to us. The next source that I want to talk about is the Doctor's Lesson. Sasha Lesson and Janet Lesson, and they were both doctors. They worked closely with Zacharias Sitchin and were asked by him to help promote the belief in the Anunnaki in mainstream anthropology. And of course, they wrote several books, and the books were pretty good, but then they're most notable for this beautiful website right here called Enki Speaks. In here, they give a lot of information that Zechariah talks about, and they break it down. You come down here and you got all these different sections where they take the various elements in the epic and they break it down and they put it into layman's terms so that other people can understand exactly what it was that Zechariah was trying to explain. And this is a beautiful site. I encourage anybody and everybody to come here. And yes, of course, these are the books, a few of the books that they wrote. But yes, this site is beautiful. Now, the next source, it's a fairly minor source, but we look at Dr. Robert Harrington. And this is when we start talking into Nibiru, the home of the Anunnaki. Now, Dr. Harrington was a Navy astronomer, and he'd been working on the whole Planet X question for a while. And yes, of course, we see up here in the note that Dr. Harrington did not believe in the 3,600-year orbit that Zacharias Sitchin proposed. But most everything else they did kinda agree on. But this is another one that worked with Dr. Sitchin and is kind of an evidence, a proof of. Now, the next one that I'm going to talk about is Dr. Michael Heiser. Dr. Heiser is one of Zacharias Sitchin's biggest opponents. The thing is that we have to understand about Mr. Heiser, or Dr. Heiser, is that he is a skeptic to almost anything and everything. You know, we see up here his various things that he talks about, the various fields and areas that he talks about, and from what I've seen, he shoots down everything. So it's no surprise that he shoots down Zachariah. I'm going to give a notable mention to a Leonard William King. It's one of the individuals who have translated the Enuma Elish, the Epic of Creation. This is 7 tablets that goes into the actual creation myth according to the Sumerians and the Babylonians. Another notable mention is Michael Tellinger. He's very well known for being the founder of the Ubuntu Foundation, which is working to try to eliminate cash in a society to where we can start being self-sufficient for ourselves. But as you see over here, Anunnaki and ancient hidden technology, he also goes into a lot of the Anunnaki. Now, for my final source, and this one is more controversial than the others because he deals a lot in channeled information or remote viewed information. Also, he works with a lot of clandestine informants. But that's Mr. Wes Penn Ray. Now, he's a journalist, and he has written a lot of really good papers about the Anunnaki over the years. Of course, he's also written about the Illuminati and so on and so forth. It's still a good read and still gives a lot of really good information, even though it's kind of suspicious as to how he got all this information. Now, the one that I really like, the one paper that I really like that he has done, is this one here. This is where we are talking about the earthbound Anunnaki. Those Anunnaki that were exiled to Earth after the rest of the Anunnaki went back to Nibiru and left Earth. But it also talks about Marduk. And in a future video, I will be going into a lot more detail into Marduk. However, if you read this, you might actually find out who Marduk is. But this is the basis, this is the foundation, and I really needed to get this out there because there's a lot of people that have a problem with some of the research done by these individuals, and I will go into them further in future videos. But for now, here's the foundation. The links to these various places will be left in the description of the video. That way you can go and look for yourself. Don't blindly believe things that you are told or taught. Go out, look for yourself.